I mean,
It's
honestly, though, Kelly, like it's very analogous to the Ben Simmons one, but with a major, major, major distinction. James Harden is much more a force of personality than
right.
Ben Simmons is. Ben
Yeah.
Simmons is a like we wondered for months how he truly felt. He
Right.
refused endless media requests for interviews. He chose to stay in the shadows. Certainly his people would talk to the media and give you some sense of where he was at. But James Harden is coming out with this kind of force and this kind of candor. And to me, that's what makes it different. Now, like any sensitive and uncomfortable situation like this, leverage matters, right? The one thing,
Right.
if I was Daryl, that I would feel confident about is that let's ponder the two worst case scenarios for each side. Does this look great for Daryl's reputation? No. We already know
No.
that he's been fighting for years this idea that he doesn't view players as humans enough, that he looks at them too much as assets. This
Right.
is another kind of mark when it comes to that accusation. But absolute worst case scenario, let's say, he doesn't get anything for James. Sixers ownership, which has obviously changed in recent years a bit, is upset. Let's say I don't know the timeline, but it ultimately leads to Daryl's demise in Philly. In the
Right.
NBA space, Daryl Morey is going to get another job at high money somewhere else. The leverage on his side, I think, is trumping James's, because I think what Daryl is probably counting on is that James deep down does enjoy playing the game of basketball. He knows that Father Time doesn't stop, and the
Right.
idea of burning a year when your legacy is already it's very good legacy, because you're talking about a former MVP, a 10-time All-Star, but we also know what's always attached to James. Can't win in the big games, hasn't won the whole thing. If you want to find a way to rectify that, you don't have time to be sitting out a year.
And you covered James long enough to know that when you go back maybe the last 8, 9 years, he's always said certain things. Like if you feel strongly about a situation, like for example, Kevin McHale, he spoke out about that. He got his way. Chris Paul situation, he spoke out about that. He got his way. The Houston situation, he spoke out. He got his way. Coming back now to Philadelphia, you know, if Daryl's playing the long game in terms of staying power in the league, Daryl's obviously going to last longer in the NBA than James is, just because of the nature of his job and how successful he's been, and like you said, Father Time is catching up to James pretty quickly. So if Daryl, there is a world that Daryl just you know because Daryl can go scorched earth as well. Like he's not
Right.
James
That's what
isn't
I'm
the only
saying.
person.
I
Is
mean, Father
it?
Time is really friendly to
Yeah.
executives.